Hey, everybody, welcome to another great episode of Tough Talk Tuesday with the Heavy Bag Boxing Team. I'm your host, Robert Alexander. Along with me tonight, we have the captain of the ship, Lucas Biggers. We have James, and we have Malachi from Danger Zone Boxing joining us. Of course, because Canelo just fought last Saturday. But a little later will be Shakira Armstrong and possibly Javier. We shall see what's up with those two. But guys, let's first jump into this. Lucas, I'm gonna hold your thoughts. So I'm gonna hold your thoughts for a little later. I'm gonna start with Malachi on this one. Malachi, Canelo just won a devastating, demolishing victory this past Saturday. Let me start with the headlines. The headlines in the papers are a little different. The first headline is nobody can beat Canelo. Nobody at this weight. The second headlines were Canelo's a cherry picker. I think you believe the first headline that nobody can stop him at this division. So give us your reaction and your impression on this victory.
I mean, I think that Canelo did what we all expected. He went out and dominated a guy who shouldn't even have been in the ring with him. The fact of the matter is, both the headlines are correct. Canelo did ask for Yildrium to be the mandatory for the WBC. They obligated him and made him the mandatory, and he did exactly what I think everyone thought he would do. I don't think everyone thought that dude would quit after the third round, but I think you can see why. He had no hope. There was nothing he could do to get in the fight. And this is what Canelo does to these guys now. After the first counter lands clean and flush, and they feel the power behind it, they have no interest in engaging. They don't want to open up because every time they open up, it's a slip counter, and they pay. And if they didn't stop the fight, Canelo was well on his way to a one-sided beating of Yildrium until either he knocked him out or they stopped the fight. So I think it was a bit premature by his corner to stop the fight at the time. I think they made the right decision because their fighter was going to take a beating.
So speaking,
and nobody can beat him at this weight class. Plant can't beat him. There's nobody going to beat him at this weight class. He's going to unify this division.
all right. So James, coming to you, I just want to touch on some of the aspects of the fight itself. One of them mainly being game plan. Why didn't Yildrium use his size advantage? He actually just walked to Canelo, straight to Canelo, the whole fight. I mean, for Canelo to even be able to land uppercuts with that size disadvantage is embarrassing. Why didn't he use his size or any of that in the fight?
Because he don't know how. He just doesn't have those skills. This kid is short on skills. I'll give you another example. If you want to fight a guy like Canelo, you can't hold your gloves and cover up like this because you lose your peripherals. And that's exactly what he did. He had no footwork. He had no game plan. I don't think his heart was in it. This shit's got to stop. If he's the best of the best of the best, he needs to fight the best. And if he keeps fighting guys like this and Liam Smith and Callum and Fielding and guys who are not quite there, someone's going to get hurt. And I say this because I don't want to see this. If he's going to beat Benavidez, then beat Benavidez. If he's going to beat Plant, beat Plant. Saunders, beat him. But why should we, as fans, be subjected to a standard fighter in terms of quality, like Yildrium? The guy just wasn't there. He had no business in the ring fighting Canelo, none whatsoever. And another thing is that, yeah, he's good. He's great. He is the pound for pound king. He is everything you want him to be. All the praise, he gets it. But I just want to see him fight someone who's worthy of being in the ring with him, because if he asked, like Malachi said, if he asked for this fighter to be the mandatory and things got worse and he got really seriously injured, then we got a problem here.
Now,
Hello,
Javi.
Sakura.
Hey.
Hello, Javi.
Javi, I'm glad you joined because I want to ask you this question, though, Javi. So, for one, what was your take and your reaction on this fight? And if you're as disappointed as James was, whose fault is that? Is that Canelo's fault to blame for asking for him to be the mandatory? Or actually, is that on the division for actually complying with that and ranking this guy as the mandatory?
Well, I get it, but you know exactly who am I gonna blame. But I get it. As far as what I think about the fight, I think that it was what we expected. We know that there were levels to this. We know that that was somebody that didn't belong in the ring with Canelo. But I also believe that you're never gonna get all the time hard fights, fighting the best and the best and the best and the best. Because let's be honest, even the greatest from the past never haven't done that. Having stiff competition back to back. They always had a tune-up fight. They had somebody that nobody knew about. A certain fight that just people didn't like, but was part of their legacy, was part of their movement. So I thought Georgia was the perfect stay busy fight because after having the fight with Smith, which was undefeated, and somebody that was looked upon as somebody that was really a threat to him due to size, skills, and all accomplishments, and the way he disposed of them, man, I believe that Canelo kind of wanted this stay busy fight, and he was already looking at Saunders. Even before he went to fight with this guy, Yildrium, he already was talking about Saunders and how he was going to fight 4 times a year. So if you have the face of boxing, right, fighting twice a year, and sometimes giving us bad mismatches, kind of like Mayweather did, why not this guy that's willing to fight 4 times a year, giving us more, and he can stay busy fight. Now, who's to blame, in my opinion, for having somebody that's 1,000 levels below Canelo in there? The WBC. Now, people say, well, Canelo requested him. Okay, what if Canelo requests Chocolatito to meet him at 135 or 140? You know what I'm saying? Oh, at 155. That's Canelo perfect catch weight. I want Chocolatito at 155. Who's to blame? Canelo? I mean, you're a fighter, right? You are A-side. You pretty much know that you have all this leverage, so you're gonna use it. You can't blame him for using his advantages, right? To a certain point. But the WBC talking about we're gonna review how is it that Yildrium became mandatory. If Canelo asks for it, and you guys are basically, you know what I'm saying? You're basically on the knees waiting for Canelo to, you know what I'm saying? Then guess what? That's what's gonna happen. So if there's someone to blame here, I think it should be the WBC, because first it's you gotta make it fair for every fighter to get their chance properly, the way they deserve it, earn the stripes, and not only that, but if something happens, like James said, when there's way different levels of competition and someone gets hurt, right? And someone gets hurt really bad, because it can happen. God forbid that it doesn't. But if it does happen, right, then what is this organization that talks about and preaches about a clean program and fair share for everybody and this and that? Come on now, man. Now, you remember, I've been a bad critic of Canelo, but lately, he's earned my respect, and I'm going to let this one slide. He can have it.
Why? Why are you letting it slide? It's not good, Javi.
Well, because I think
let me point out something to you right quick. You said that it's, I don't know, I can't roll back the tape here, but it said, like you said, that it's okay up to a certain point. But I think here we're beyond that certain point. These guys have no business in the ring together.
Right.
And you're giving them a pass. You're giving them a pass somehow. And you know a lot about boxing. I know you do. You're giving Canelo a pass here somehow, but you contradict yourself as well because you're saying, well, you know, they all have their tune-up fights and stuff. They're not on the same level.
Right. But that's the thing.
So,
I mean,
and once again, with all due respect, man, because you know your business.
I mean, the thing about it, James, is like, this is the double standard sometimes that we see as boxing fans, and this is the things that doesn't make sense. Maybe for us as fans that we want to see these great matchups, but for their career and for the fighters' movement and whatever they have in their agenda, probably doesn't make sense neither. But it's like the easiest route. You know, pick up some cash while you stay busy, while you get prepared for the real threat, which is, I mean, we talked in the chat. You know, sometimes when Mayweather fought the Guerreros and this other competition that had no business with him, the difference between Canelo and Yildrium is not as bad as Guerrero and Mayweather. The difference on levels, right? Mind you, Mayweather was fighting only twice a year. So out of those two fights, we have a one mismatch. And, you know, people criticize him, give him a lot of shit for it. So that's basically what we're doing with Canelo. Now, to my point where I was saying using your advantage to a certain point, well, we all know the politics. We don't always agree to it, but there's politics in boxing. The A side and B side. The A side gets away with a lot of shit, and we know that. The thing about it was when he had his own weight class, when he was having all these diva requests, and the way he was coming up in the beginning, I never agreed with that. And like I said, I'm a former critic of his career, and I think he had a lot of passes, a lot of gift decisions, and a lot of easy ways when a lot of chances. A lot of fighters didn't have the chances that he was given. But now he's gotten better. He looks better. He's fighting big boys. And the boy is looking sharp, so I gotta give the man that respect. Now, nobody thought he was gonna do that to Kovalev, even though Kovalev was there like not trying to win. Now he's fighting these big boys, and he's not only making these big boys gun shy, but he's reducing these big boys to a small portion of themselves. And honestly, I thought Charlos and Boo Boo will be a threat to him. I don't see it anymore. I don't see it.
My question, real fast, and I don't mean to get it before Lucas or.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
But my question is, if he ends up fighting, like I've seen the plan laid out that he's going to fight Billy Joe Saunders and then he's going to turn around and fight Caleb Plant. Right. So if he does that, in his last 4 fights, he would have fought the 175-pound, or I'm sorry, the 168-pound lineal champion who was undefeated. Yeah, he took a bad fight with Yildrium, but then he turns around and fights Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant. Who's going to complain about that? I mean, are we still going to say, because we could say Callum Smith didn't deserve to be in the ring with him. Well, yeah, that's the way it looked. But he was still undefeated, considered a highly thought of in a lot of circles, except for, you know, prior to that John Ryder fight, he was even more highly thought of.
Yeah.
And Canelo goes in and destroys him. I mean, there's no other word for it. Even though they went to 12, he dominated him. Like, look at his bicep. He destroyed it. He crushes Yildrium. I don't see any way Billy Joe Saunders or Plant beats him either. So if he does this, what's our next complaint going to be about Canelo?
So I want to take this with Lucas right now. I want Lucas to answer this question first.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of places to go with that. And first, I do want to back James and say I wholeheartedly agree. Canelo is going to get somebody hurt in mismatch fights. And let's not pretend like Yvonne Yildirim's the first one, okay? Amir Khan, he could have put him in a coma. He had Josecito Lopez come up and fight him. Like, it's got to stop. Like, you're knocking out people that you should be weighing 20, 30 pounds on fight night. Like, that shit is dangerous, okay? That's not okay. I don't care how you want to twist and turn that shit. That is not Guerrero Mayweather to me. That is not any of Mayweather fight. Like, that's some severe shit. And you don't see that a lot. So, you know, taking your question, though, Malachi, I gotta say, why skip 160 like you did? Why didn't you decide to do Undisputed? No, you wanted to go up 168. Me and you both can admit 168's easier, is it not? You're looking at Golovkin, you're looking at more elite fighters.
I'm not as high as, you know that I'm not as high on Golovkin especially currently as you are.
Are you not saying that Golovkin
Plant
wouldn't wipe the floor with Yildirim just as well and not knocked him out? I mean, Canelo couldn't even knock him out.
Well,
you
he
got
only
Chris
got,
Eubanks Jr. knocking him out.
You can't say that he couldn't knock him out when it only went 3 rounds and their corner was
Chris
so
Eubanks
concerned.
Jr. did it in 3 rounds.
They stopped the fight. Yeah.
Chris Eubanks Jr. did it in 3 rounds, and let's face it, he is not the fighter that Canelo is. He's not getting the hype that Canelo is either. I mean, you pound for pound best. He should have been able to get Chris Eubanks Jr. out of there earlier. And I don't say that about fighters. I'm not ones to be like, man, you got to knock him out. That's usually Rob down here. He's usually saying that, not me. Okay, but you can admit, if Chris Eubanks Jr. got Yildirim out of there, I think Canelo should have been able to get him out of there. It was more Yildirim quit on his stool. He could have still fought on. In no way am I saying he had a chance to win, but I'm saying he might have even been able to last. Who knows?
Before I'll say that I think that Plant at this point in his career is a bigger threat than Golovkin.
I'll give you this about 168, okay? The style of BJ Saunders, I think, can cause him some issues. But I think both him and BJ Saunders don't have the big enough fights. They're not ready. And I don't think they have the ceiling that maybe a Golovkin or, a Lara, people that actually did give him issues. So, yeah, I agree with you, Malik. I'm looking at 168, and I'm like, yeah, he can walk through that. But can he walk through 160? Can he walk through the 175 that he wants to go up and cherry pick and take that title? No, he cannot, and he knows that. He is doing it at 168 because guess what? A lot easier. No disrespect to Plant. I just don't think he's ready for this kind of fight. And, it definitely does seem like a weaker division.
Compared to 160, yeah, definitely.
All right, so we haven't heard from our first lady. So I'm dying to hear your take, Shakura, on this fight. And, everything that we're discussing in terms of Canelo and his legacy. Because pretty much that's what it sounds like these guys are putting on the line here.
Yeah, not to cut you off there, Sakura. I just want to read a comment real quick. We got Fight Elite Boxing. It said Facts 100. That's when you were talking, James, that popped up. Juan Gonzalez says Canelo is a cheater. CJ Hooker says Canelo is following the blueprint of Julio Cesar Chavez and padding his record while sharpening his skills for bigger fights down the road. And then Hooker also continued and said, "Go Sakura."
Thanks, CJ. I haven't said anything yet.
Baby, you only gave me half a cup.
I know, because I
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I
Shakura.
mean, for me, I personally agree with James and Lucas, of course. I am not a Canelo fan. I have standards that I don't believe that he's meeting at this point. And people are making up these excuses conveniently about, well, it's a tune-up. Well, it's a stay busy fight. You just had a fight in December. What the hell do you need a tune-up fight for in February? You're going to fight in May. What? I don't understand that. And then the other excuse, I mean, the one that really got me is, well, he's going to have 5 fights this year, right? Yeah, but you're not impressing me with 5 fights when 3 of them are going to be garbage. Or they're going to be people, I'm not calling fighters garbage. I'm saying that the matchups would be garbage. So, yeah, let me rewind it back. So I don't want nobody to
We can erase
what I said is garbage.
Can erase that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not what
Straight from the record.
Yeah, for the record. I mean, those are the 2 excuses that really just, get under my skin real bad. And then if you're the best, oh, but he's the best. That's why he makes people look bad. I'm just going down the list of the excuses that I've heard this week or after the fight. He's the best. That's why he makes people look so bad. No, if you're the best, fight the best. If you're the best and you're the world champion, you want to be an undisputed, you're a multi-title division champion, I expect you to fight former world champions and #1 contenders that deserve to be there. Let's go to Yildirim's record, 21-3. His last fight was with Anthony Dirrell, who, guess what, fought on the same night on PBC. And he fought a tougher fight than Canelo did against Yildrium. And then we go to the next loss, which was the Chris Eubanks Jr. loss. That was a 3rd round KO, like a real KO. Not on your record as a KO that I've already seen in publication for Canelo. They're already calling it a KO when it was not.
It's going to go in the KO column.
Okay. When a fan reads that a KO, okay, that Canelo had a KO against Yildrium in the 3rd round, what they're going to say is, oh, well, that's the same round that Chris Eubanks Jr. got him out in. So now, like, so does that mean Chris Eubanks? I mean, what a coincidence. He decides to sit on his stool, you know, after round 3 and don't come back out for 4. So now it's a 3. It's a 3rd round knockout, the same as Chris Eubanks Jr.
I love the boxing conspiracy.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm down for it because it makes sense.
It was technical.
When it doesn't make sense, I don't go for it. But when it's a coincidence, which I don't believe in coincidences, that much of a coincidence, I'm going to be like, yeah, conspiracy. But let's just do this aside because I'm not through with my excuse list. Now, the other excuse was, well, you know, WBC is the one that made him the #1 contender, not Canelo. Then what do we hear? Mauricio's like, oh, hell no, I'm not going down for this shit by myself. Oh, no, Canelo requested him. And why does that matter? It matters because if we go back in history, we can see where when the WBC or any other organization makes a mandatory that will be a competitive fight for Canelo, he vacates the title. This puts leverage over anything that a sanctioning body is willing to do with the #1 supposedly face of boxing right now. That is leverage for Canelo. The fact that they know anytime they give him a reputable opponent, right, for a competitive bout, for a #1 contender, we now see that is now not going to happen because that belt is vacated. So these are all things that world champions don't do. What not world champions that really want to prove and maintain I am #1. They don't have time to be asking and requesting for somebody that just lost an actual title to a Anthony Dirrell, a former champion, who in his own right is amazing, who is still competing at a high level. But you couldn't get through. What my point is that Yildrium couldn't get through Anthony Dirrell as a former champion. So why are we having a Canelo? Why would we be having a Canelo fight with Yildrium? I don't understand. And finally, guys, to wrap it all up, I'm gonna say it like this: what am I missing? What am I missing? Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe somebody, if you guys are out there tonight and you can explain to me why I should invest my time in a Canelo versus Yildrium, and also give him credit for that as a reputable win, please post it now, because I cannot. I can't do it. And I won't. I'm not going to do it unless somebody.
I'm going to do you one better.
An amazing reason why I should ignore every excuse that I just said that was debunked. You tell me, what should I, how can me as a boxing fan, hold on, Rob, how can I as a boxing fan, right? And this question can be posed to you too, Rob. How can I as a legitimate boxing fan, not as a pundit, not as somebody who's trying to make a living as a podcaster or anything like that, me as a boxing fan, a purist boxing fan, how can I give somebody who's supposed to be a world champion and be on a higher standard, how can I give them credit for something that just took place in Miami of all places this weekend?
I'll tell you why. I'm gonna do the way that they give Tank all this praise, and Tank is fighting all these.
No. Javi, we're not talking about other fighters right now. We're talking about the face of boxing. That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking. I don't want to hear about Tank Davis. I don't want to hear about Floyd. I don't want to hear about all this other stuff. We're talking about Canelo, Saul Alvarez right now. I do not have time to be talking about other boxers. We're talking about the higher standard that I have created for him.
Understood.
Step
Now,
it up.
I'm
Step
gonna
it up.
I'm gonna ask if you please just let me get through these points uninterrupted. I was definitely very quiet for all of you out of respect, but I wrote down everything y'all said, and I'm rebutting. Okay, so let's first start with the fact that somebody could get hurt. The guy didn't. He quit, or his corner quit before that could happen. And when you sign up on the dotted line in this sport of boxing, you know it's dangerous. You can get hurt. Next point. Why is it all right? This is James. Why is it all right or okay for Canelo to get a pass? Why, James? Because a fighter has a right to sustain his career. Anybody can beat you. Upsets happen for a reason. Why would James Buster Douglas get a shot at beating Mike Tyson? Why would all these upsets happen in the sport if these guys are only fighting bums?
Because he has no business. That's my point.
True.
To answer your question, he has no business in the ring with Canelo. Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson, that's a different conversation.
Oh, now it's a different conversation.
Yeah, simply because Buster Douglas had skills. This kid had no skills. I mean, his footwork was zero. He didn't even position his hands properly to fight Canelo. His feet weren't even splayed properly. His body wasn't bladed. You got to blade yourself if you're going to fight someone like Canelo. You got to come in and out, and didn't even do anything like that. So what I'm saying is,
understood.
Okay, so
that's not Canelo's
you don't
fault.
have.
That's not Canelo's fault. How is
that not
Canelo's fault?
It's not, but he shouldn't be.
Because Canelo's not Yildrium.
It is. No, it's still
shouldn't be in the ring with them.
Look, I don't care what you say. Canelo has a say in who he fights.
Let me finish.
In fact, he's asked for Yildirim specifically. He said, I want to fight you.
And that's the point I made. A fighter has the right to pick and choose their own opponents. It's the opponent that wants to get in the ring with them. It's not his fault if they're subpar.
You're insane.
You have his equal shot. You have his equal shot of beating Canelo as he does you. It's a 50-50 sport. Anybody can be beat. Otherwise, upsets wouldn't happen.
You know what?
This was not 50-50. This is not a 50-50 fight. Look at the odds. This is Pee Wee's versus Major League. Yeah. This is not even close.
Next point, because y'all are taking me off my game with all these interruptions.
That's why we're here.
Point, and yes, I agree, Shakira. It's Lucas saying he didn't knock him out. Yes, he knocked him down in the third and the guy quit. Technically, to me, that's a knockout. Okay, he didn't want to continue because he would have been knocked out.
That's a TKO.
So it's okay.
And then it's okay
to get wait. It's okay. It's okay to get knocked out right on TV against Chris Eubanks Jr. But you don't want to go out on your shield against Canelo, which if you did might actually up your pay a little bit. No, he took the easy road out. Because that makes sense.
Because you're talking about two fighters on two different levels. And quote unquote, according to what y'all can say, quote unquote, he could die in the ring by Canelo.
He can. And this is the problem though, is he didn't go all out. Like he wanted to win. And he wasn't going to win anyway. So, I mean, it was rigged from the jump. That's part of the problem. That's what you're not understanding. And you're saying it's okay. And you're like, oh, it's okay. And the WBC ranks Yildirim specifically for Canelo. And really just backwash everything they ever done. Just said, oh, everybody else to the back. It's okay to shove all the other fighters that's earned their right and their rankings to go up. And they put fucking Yildirim at number 1, but that's okay with you.
Did not say that.
Yeah, no, that's what you were leaning towards.
Canelo's fault.
It is Canelo's fault because Canelo told them to do it, and then they listened too. It is a combination of all of that.
Yeah, they all look bad. They all look bad. They really do. The whole situation, they all look bad.
All of them.
This is my last point, though. Let me make this last point to y'all. and this is to everybody, okay? If Mayweather was a cherry picker and beat Canelo, but Canelo is now the best fighter in the world like Mayweather was, but now Canelo somehow is a cherry picker, y'all are just a bunch of fucking haters.
I love Canelo.
Look,
I said it last week. I love Canelo. He's a great guy.
Look,
he's a wonderful guy.
Thank
that's
you.
the other point I
Drop
was
mic.
gonna
I'm
make,
done.
too.
drop my
We're haters because we expect better.
Yeah.
Because we know he can do better, but we're haters. Because we actually are making sure that he understands that boxing fans ain't with this shit.
Yeah, we got some comments.
Yeah, we not haters.
We're not boxing haters. We don't hate boxing.
Right. We don't hate boxers. We don't hate boxing, but we don't hate Canelo. But the point that everybody makes whenever you try to, hold him to the higher standard of a champion is that we're haters. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's not a hater when you respect somebody and want to see them do the best because the potential is there. You're just not showing it. That's different than I don't like your ass.
Canelo gonna
and I never like your ass. That's totally different.
Are you holding the Charlo brothers to the same standard?
No, I'm not.
Are you holding Triple G to the same standard?
Hold on. We got some comments first. I'm about to dive into that.
Go ahead.
All right. Canelo's strategy has been this is Fight Elite Boxing. Canelo's strategy has been different ever since he signed with DAZN and then left De La Hoya. It appears his team is focused on collecting the maximum amount of checks with the lowest amount of risks. He's waiting for it, like Floyd, hoping the threats will be lesser versions of themselves. Past their prime, chasing history is the excuse that is being utilized. I agree with him there. Like I said, there's no reason for Yildrim, and like Sakura said very well, there's just simply no reason. It's not a stay busy. I mean, when he just had a fight, if it was been a year, then yes, to stay busy. But let's see. CJ Hooker says, "How do you ask for an opponent? Are you supposed to earn your number one contender spot? Canelo can ask to make a guy number one contender." He asked to fight him. Yeah. I don't know how you get number one contender when you lose your last fight. That might be something to ask the WBC. Hooker continued, "That is ridiculous." And I agree. Look, and this is part of the problem, what we were talking about before is, Canelo has that kind of pull. And you're saying why are we holding Charlo to the same standard? Because Charlo's not the face of boxing. Charlo's not the one. Charlo can go do something. Charlo can go test. Charlo can go get knocked out. Nobody gives a shit, okay, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Nobody's really going to be like, big news. That Canelo gets knocked cold. That is world news. That is boxing news everywhere. You will see that. It is a reflection of boxing. You are a reflection of boxing, and the way you are going about business makes you look corrupt just as much as this other shit that happened back in the mob days. You are literally telling a commission to put you somewhere to fight somebody that you should not even be fighting. And this ain't the first time. He's always been doing this shit. Look, I have messages from the WBC telling me to lay off Canelo. Basically, give him some time. And this is when he was crowned champion. Okay? Champion. And they're telling me, oh, calm down. The Kirkland fight wasn't there. And why are you defending this man? This is a fighter. Why are you defending him? I don't see them defending Charlo. I don't see them defending and ranking people for Charlo. It is the same double standard, Rob, when you come with that shit.
Yeah. Damn, I gotta get a pause on that little rant right there, Lucas.
Everybody has said. Everybody has said on
and by the way, he's not.
I'm gonna say that
you got people that have Canelo as the number one pound for pound. That is.
He is. Who's better? There's nobody deserves number one.
So hold on.
That's way different than a 160 pound Charlo who hasn't moved up yet. Who said he was willing to move up but hasn't moved up yet, and doesn't have a pound for pound ranking. Even if it's not number one, they got Canelo as a pound for pound ranking. Why are we seeing him fight a Yildrim? There's no talking out of this shit. This shit just don't make sense. It's stupid.
So and then why do y'all think?
Now he got me thinking about all the other fights that I thought Oscar was making him doing this shit. Now he is not with Oscar, and this shit's still happening. So now you got me thinking about other past situations that I blamed on Oscar De La Hoya when really Canelo seems like he was down with the shit the whole time.
So let me ask y'all this.
You gotta
hold
be.
on. Let me ask y'all
You
this.
sign off on every
let me
move,
ask y'all
especially at Canelo's level.
Let me ask y'all this. You don't see him beating, or you don't see Caleb Plant beating him. You don't see
I didn't say that.
you don't see Billy Joe Saunders beating him. You don't see any of the other champions beating him. You talk about Charlo, who has to move up, so you're really not putting him in the game at 168. So who's beating him? You can't be mad because he can beat everybody he faces.
Hold on, I gotta answer.
But does it really matter?
Like Lucas exposed his entire desire. He made a lot of truth is said in jest. He wants to see Canelo knocked out. That is what he wants to see. He just exposed it. So his ultimate goal is he wants, no matter what Canelo does, if he beats this guy, it wasn't good enough. He needs to fight Better Biev. He beats Better Biev, he's got to fight Bivol. It's never going to end because Lucas is one of these people that wants to see Canelo lose.
I don't want to see him lose. Well, I mean, that's bad for boxing. Why would I want to see him lose?
You just said it's good for you just said it's good for boxing if he gets knocked out.
I said it would be boxing news. I did not say that's good news. Look, I said it's boxing news. It's worldwide.
You said worldwide boxing news.
Yes.
That's worldwide boxing news, so it's good for boxing.
No, that's not. That does not mean it's good for boxing. Those two things do not mean the same.
That's what your hope is. You can't tell me on nothing else.
That's what you think I'm hoping. I'm not hoping that.
Lucas,
not only
question, Lucas. Do you want to see him get knocked out and lose?
No. I mean, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for boxing if Canelo loses. But hang on, we do have some more comments
here.
Mark Anthony says, I'm sorry, the WBC is becoming a problem for boxing. Making so many belts just to make sure their number 2 fighter doesn't get stripped, then making a mandatory fighter that hasn't fought in 2 years. Now people can say, well, he has a fight coming up. He needed a weak opponent. The problem with that Canelo fight 75 days ago, at his stage, he only should be fighting once a year, not 3 times in less than 6 or 7 months. Continued to say, Benavidez will beat him. Sorry. He just mistyped Benavidez. Okay. But yeah, Benavidez will beat him. So... No, I don't. I didn't. By what I said, I did not mean, let me clarify, that I want to see him knocked out. I simply said Charlo can go and get knocked out. Not really that big of a deal. Canelo gets knocked out. It's boxing news. My point was to make that Canelo goes and tests positive, slap on the wrist. Other people could go and test positive. It's going to be different circumstances. If anything, it should be harsher on him because he brings the biggest eyes on him. Same with Floyd. Same with Pacquiao. You have to hold these people to a higher standard, and you're not doing it.
That's my whole point. Is the higher standard situation. But Mark is right when he says, "Well, who was he supposed to fight?" Basically, is what Rob's point was, and Mark is right. Benavidez had that WBC title. He lost it on the scale. That's
had.
That's what I just said. I said he had.
Yeah, but the first time he had the title, he blew it.
Right, but that's not the point. The point is who should be fighting. The point is, why wasn't you trying to call out Benavidez when he had the title? You were only interested in that title after Benavidez lost it. That's
so
totally
Benavidez shouldn't have lost it.
After you know somebody that's a threat to you is losing it.
No, I know people that are watching this automatically are like, he's a Canelo hater. No, I'm a hater of people that take advantage of the system. That's all. I hated Mayweather for the same reasons, and I did not like when Pacquiao used a lot of the catch weights as well. I don't like it. I want to see things fair. That's all.
Luke,
I'm not a Canelo hater.
Hold on, James.
Hold on. Give me a second, please.
Go ahead.
I'm not a Canelo hater at all, but it seems like the WBC is working as a promotional body, and they're promoting Canelo.
Yes.
They have their man.
I'm a WBC hater.
He's the first franchise champion.
Yeah, Javi is the WBC hater.
Lucas.
Hell yeah.
Lucas, what is the name of the game? Any game. What is the main goal? What is the main goal of any sport? Any game. What's the main?
Depends.
What's the main goal?
To win? To make money?
Exactly. To win. Exactly. So what the hell are y'all mad about?
I'm not telling you something, and I think probably it's a different argument that everybody brings.
Man, because are you mad? Are you
You're
mad
not fighting up
because
to your level. I mean,
is that what you telling me?
See, now,
You
Rob-
mad, so you mad because he wins?
Rob, I've heard you say, people want to choose, the legacy over the currency, and you like that, right? But here you're saying it's okay to just get a win and move on, like it don't matter. Like, what? Like, and this is one of the reasons I think ESPN Friday Night Fights went out. Like, yes, it had some great fights, but it had some severe mismatches. People got hurt, and it did look bad on TV. It looks embarrassing when somebody's so much more dominant than another person, okay? But it's okay when basically the owner of boxing right now, the face of boxing, can't do the same thing. He can't be making the simple mistakes that everybody else is making. And I think finally people are going to start seeing, like, maybe that wasn't Oscar De La Hoya. Maybe that wasn't his team. Maybe this was him trying to fight Josito Lopez. Maybe this was him trying to fight Amir Khan and take all these 155 fights. You're telling me this man, and this is really what upsets me about him, is he went from 155, a couple fights at 160, and that's where he kind of struggled, with the Golovkins. And he said, oh, shit, with that, I'm going to 168. Now, I can't see for any reason why anybody would back him at this point. From the WBCs to, everybody. I would love to hear the WBC, and I'll send this to the WBC. I don't really give a shit. We've had some run-ins, as I could tell you already, but they cannot justify Yildrium's ranking. There is no way. I don't give a shit what they say. So it's either we didn't update that since the loss to Dirrell, or we just don't really care and we're going to do whatever Canelo fucking bids. Now, how the hell are you going to turn around and say we're going to do an internal investigation? Motherfucker, you did it! Like, it was you! You did this! And if you don't think Maurice Sullivan has a say in and possibly the number one contender for Canelo, his franchise champion, what in the fuck is everybody thinking? This is rigged across the board. It may not be rigged. I'm not saying like Yildrium took a dive type rigged, but this shit was rigged. It was set up, it was calculated, and that winner was decided before they ever stepped in the ring.
Lucas, that's pretty obvious.
Let me ask you a question then, Lucas, and answer it honestly. What do you watch the sport? What do you watch the sport for? Do you watch it to see somebody get hurt, or do you watch it to see do you watch it to see somebody get period? Do you watch it to see somebody get hurt, or do you watch it to see a technical a close-knitted affair?
Obviously.
What's your main draw?
Obviously there's violence, okay? And I believe our OG, the heavy bag partner, Rudy Gutierrez, would say, damn it, what is that? Man, I had it. It's gone. You know what I'm saying?
It translates to you want to see violence. You want to see somebody get.
Violence is the name of the game. If you're watching boxing and you don't like violence, then there's something wrong with you.
Why are we complaining?
Because you can have violence and be responsible. What are you talking about? You're literally taking apples and saying oranges. You're not even making a good argument, okay? You're basically just like, there. What?
You're complaining about somebody possibly getting hurt, but you just said you want to see people get hurt.
My point is,
that's the draw to Canelo.
I want to see somebody punched in the face. I don't want to see somebody die. I don't want to see somebody die.
Okay, guys, we got a comment. We got a comment from CJ. He says, Canelo needs to go back down to 160. There are plenty of fights down there. Charlo, Andrade, and even Spence wants to come up to face him. He needs to stop cherry picking. Any comments on that?
If he fights Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, this cherry picking narrative has to go out the window.
You're talking about something that's in the future that we can't even put in.
Supposedly he is going to fight Billy Joe Saunders.
That's the plan forward.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the plan. The plan.
Malachi.
Right now we have a confirmed fight with BJ.
This is simple.
That's what we have. We don't have no Caleb Plant. We had Caleb Plant last year as well, but that did not happen.
Word is it's going to happen in September.
You're trying to count eggs before they hatched.
Even if Billy Joe Saunders isn't a cherry pick, Callum Smith wasn't a cherry pick.
I never
we can't keep saying, well, he's cherry picking these guys. Yes, Yildrium was a bad fight. I give it to you.
Well, that wasn't the part I was asking you guys about. Okay, I was asking you about, do you think Canelo should go back to 160? That's what CJ was saying. So what do you guys think about that narrative? Because I think he's way past that point. Like, I don't even know if he could get back down to 160, just to reach the scale. But, I mean, you guys tell me.
That's not the plan.
I don't see why he couldn't make 160, but that's
he could, but that's not the plan. Obviously, he said, I want to be undisputed at 168. What that means is if Charlo or whoever else down at 160
you can
out there wants to fight, they're going to have to go up.
But why don't you want to?
Because Canelo makes the rules.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
So you're not even making a case. You're just saying because Canelo makes the rules.
That's right. He does make the rules.
Yeah,
and he did.
Right.
Right.
Right. So why are y'all hating?
Because if this shit persists, someone's gonna get hurt, and we've seen fighters lose their life, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. This guy had
I don't see that happen.
Okay, if he goes back to 160 and fights hypothetically Spence, aren't we gonna sit around here and say this? Aren't we gonna sit around here and say, "Oh man, Spence was too small for him"?
Yeah,
Spence wasn't ready for him.
Spence is small for him.
We're gonna say the same thing.
Spence is 147. What are you talking about? That's not the same thing either.
But Spence is the one that wants to fight him.
I don't give a shit.
Should Canelo say, "Oh no," because I might hurt you. You're littler than me. Or should Canelo say, "Fuck it. You want to fight me? Meet me at this weight class, and I'm gonna beat the hell out of you." No disrespect to Errol Spence, great fighter. But is that what he's not supposed to do?
No, man, no. No, he's not. He should be like, no, this is a win. How does that even help him? That helps no legacy, no nothing. That is a win, okay? Mikey Garcia, I knew was going to lose to Spence. It's just too big of a level up. I mean, it's not right, and no, I'm not going to be okay with it. He's already done it like 4 or 5 times. No more.
So
we got
just imagine their weights on fight night.
I agree with
Spence,
you.
Canelo.
I think it's a bad fight for Spence completely. He should stay far away from Canelo.
They want the money.
But hey, what's Canelo supposed to do?
It's a bad fight. I really don't think it's a bad fight because I don't feel that Spence is.
You were talking. Sorry.
I think of Spence is really he's more of a 154. He has to get down to 147 for fight. So his walk around rate is probably 150 something. So I don't really feel that the size is as big an issue as people are making it. At least it would be some more skills that he could try, and basically we could see him with a different style than just people that stand right in front of you as punching bags. So I'm ready for that day. But I have a comment from William Hunter of Right Hook Promotions. He says, "What's up, boxing gurus? I'm risking my life playing on my phone to show support, even though I'm checking in fighters for show here in Biloxi. Canelo needs to fight Benavidez. Plant looked so bad in his last fight. Doubt they would offer 80-20 split now. Pop, hold it down." Right Hook Promotions and RJJ official. Yes, he has a fight coming up on the UFC Fight Pass. That's going to be Thursday, and it's going to have some really good opponents that's going to be on the card. So check them out too, guys. But I'm with Will when it comes to him fighting Benavidez. But now Benavidez is talking about moving up too. So like, how many times can we play this move up and move down games with these different opponents? Like, I want to know if he stays at 168 and these guys move up from 160 to fight him, is he then going to go move up to 170 something? I mean, this is just a never-ending game.
So we definitely appreciate you, Will, especially checking people in, and watching the show, man. That's dedication. Definitely appreciate you. Just my thoughts right now. If we don't go to another topic, then everybody's going to know for sure there are some serious Canelo haters in the house, because we done dedicated a whole hour to this conversation.
Serious Canelo cinnamon bun lovers too.
My computer's gonna die, so I'm gonna have to go. I'm sorry, guys. I think I was mostly asked to come because Lucas and me have this war when it comes to Canelo. So I want to thank you guys for having me on once again, and I'll holler at y'all next Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, it's all love, Malachi. See you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
And nobody still answered my question. Y'all hated Mayweather, greatest fighter. Now you hate Canelo, greatest fighter. I'm seeing a trend. I don't know how you don't see a trend here.
Look, it's not that, okay? And just like he fought Canelo, and I commend him for that, I wouldn't complain about that fight if it was made at the same weight. How you gonna drain Cotto and then, or not drain Cotto, let him be his weight, but then drain Canelo? He knows. A great knows another great. And I'm not too mad at Canelo. Does not say that he's not a great fighter. I mean, clearly anybody that watches him can tell he's a great fighter, and that's why we're a little bit more mad about the situation. If he was a shitty fighter, I probably wouldn't care. Jake Paul, I don't give a shit. Go fight whoever the fuck you want. Just leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to see it. But Canelo is boxing. This is why it upsets us. This is why we're passionate about it. This is the sport that we all love, and we don't want to see it trashed. And that's what he is doing. He's making a mockery of it, just like Floyd did.
Other than the YouTubers, though?
Say what?
So he's making a mockery of the sport.
I mean, he's not helping, but no, not more. You know,
that's an issue.
That's
an
a
issue.
whole
separate.
Let's go to that. Let's go to that because that's actually a good topic to start on here.
We had another comment.
Go ahead, Shika.
It's Hunter again. He says, and there is only one way fighters get hurt fighting. It isn't the guys overmatched that get hurt. It's the Ward Gottis that get hurt. I have seen pro debut fights where if I was commissioner, I would suspend both for life. So even both beat shit out of each other. So he's saying when it's an even fight, that's when people really get hurt. Is when it's more competitive of a fight. That's when
as well.
Yeah,
as well.
That's one reason, but it depends though. Some fighters get hurt like mismatches. Some fighters get hurt by one big punch. Some fighters already get in the ring hurt from a lot of sparring, and some fighters just take punishment for 10, 12 rounds and they come out with all these consequences. I think it depends.
Right.
The brain.
There's a lot of reasons for it. It's not. It's a good point.
Hence, it's a dangerous sport.
What Will's saying is basically if it's like and it's over, yeah, I mean, there's not really much going on. And what causes brain bleeding is really like eating a bunch of jabs, your head constantly sloshing back and forth. That's what causes, a lot of the brain bleeds. So, he's right to a certain extent, but I think it's a little bit of both.
That's one possibility, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pivot.
We definitely need to move on, though, because it's only supposed to be an hour. You're gonna get me in trouble with the missus. We do need to move on.
I'm gonna go ahead and pivot to another topic that actually I'm passionate about. But guys, we just recently hear that Teofimo Lopez purse bid went to this new promotional company at Triller. Now, let's go over the facts of this actual purse bid, and the fact number one being his own promoter, Bob Arum at Top Rank, came in third. So he didn't even come in right behind Triller. He actually was outbidded by another promoter with Eddie Hearn. That, to me, shows a lot of character about Bob. Not only in that fact, but Triller came in almost double the amount of all other. It was double the amount of all other promoters, and we don't even feel like this is going to even be a real boxing card because they actually are promoting exhibitions right now, and they're hinting at the fact that this card would actually be on the undercard of a said exhibition. Guys, what are your thoughts on Triller getting the bid and everything happening? But before that, I want to actually read a quote from Tio himself. Yeah, I see myself within maybe this fight or my next fight, I'll be a free agent. There's so much proof for me to get out this Top Rank contract that they gave me. Todd DeBoth gave me the golden ticket by doing so. They already dug a bigger hole than they needed to. Guys, there's trouble.
I think something's going on at Top Rank. You know, I don't know if they're bleeding money or what the issue is, but it definitely seems like they're having some issues. As you could tell, like Bob was complaining about paying for Crawford as well. Like, I think he's bleeding money or something. Something's not right. And they're probably gonna let him out of his contract. I mean, I don't know. I think we may be slowly seeing the death of Top Rank because it doesn't seem like he's able to keep it together anymore. So I don't know if there's somebody in the money, what's going on. But go ahead, Hopping, sir.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to cut you off on nothing. But I mean, I can see there's definitely some internal problems. But at the same time, look, they gave us Berchel and Valdez. They're about to give us Ramirez versus Taylor. So we cannot, guys. I'm sorry, but we cannot have all the best, all the good, and all the sunshine. Sometimes we gotta just ride with the rain, ride with the bats and stuff like that. And I think Top Rank, I think lately a lot of complications. Basically, they're letting go of the big fighters. Crawford, I think he's about to leave. Pacquiao left after so many years. Tio's already talking like he wants to get out. So yeah, definitely some problems there, but they're also giving us some good matchups. That the fighters on the other side of the street, right? The Heyman guys, they're not giving us. They're talking about he's with the money, he's with the good matchups, and this and that. And they're not giving us these type of matchups. They're not giving us this type of risk that these other fighters are taking in Top Rank, in the other side of the avenue. I remember when these PBC guys were making fun of the Top Rank ESPN fighters. But guess what? These ESPN fighters are getting matched up way more tougher with probably less money than these Heyman boys that are being protected and having all these bias against people. Now, my point of this is basically, look at Tank, right? Everybody holds Tank as a pay-per-view fighter, which he is, right? And we hold him at high standards. But when he fights the likes of, I don't know, whoever he fought for before Gamboa and Santa Cruz, and we're still calling him a killer, and he's dropping these guys badly. Why are we not concerned that he might hurt somebody? You know what I'm saying? But why are we concerned that Canelo might hurt somebody in the ring? Tank can do that too. Tank is a tremendous puncher, and he should be already matched up way better than what he's been. Hopefully they keep the same tribe, because once you go Gamboa, once you go Santa Cruz, I don't think the level of competition should go down as a matchup. But as far as the match, as far as Top Rank, I'm sure there's something going on we don't know about. But I'm happy with the matchup they're giving us. Lopez versus Loma, Berchel versus Valdez. They're giving us classics, guys, and I'm okay.
So honestly, they've rocked COVID pretty well. I mean, you got to give it to them.
My challenge to that, though, Hobby, is like Teofimo said. I think Top Rank is giving us these matchups because, like Teo said, the only thing he will miss about this contract is ESPN. ESPN is the driving force behind those matchups. ESPN is a big factor behind those because everybody wants to be seen on primetime TV, and ESPN holds that.
And that's the key here, because Arum doesn't have a problem matching him up, but he couldn't front the money. ESPN fronted the money, right? Yeah, there's something to do with it. Yeah, I mean, Top Ranks can be coming and suing me or something, but I don't know your books, guys. It's just something don't seem right to me.
So, James, I got a different type of question in for you on that, because why doesn't another promoter try to step in here with the ESPN deal? And what I'm saying is Andre Ward. He has a co-promotion in Shakur Stevenson. Therefore, he's able to leverage and get him on ESPN. Why is he not taking on more fighters, trying to get them involved in the action with ESPN? Because I believe ESPN is really the golden ticket.
I would have to agree, but first I want to say that I'm really happy for Teofimo and Cambosos. They're both going to get some really, really nice paydays there, pay off their crews, and walk away with a good purse. Hopefully it's a great fight. But I think ESPN is the ticket. I think that's where you want to be. If you lose that, you lose a lot. So it's not really clear to me.
For me, I'm happy that Triller is willing to front this type of money to put a bona fide professional bout in between some of these exhibition type fights. So right now we currently know that Antonio Tarver Jr. will be one of the fighters on that card, and then we're hopefully going to see a Mike Tyson versus Holyfield on that card. It's excellent cross marketing. It's what I complained about with the first fight, that they really didn't have a way that they were tying in to the active fighters. So this would be a way to do that. So for me, I'm really excited that they plan to do that and add that extra marketing tool to really like draw people that were into boxing previously into the new generation of boxers and seeing what the talent is out here.
So Antonio Tarver's fighting a ex-MMA fighter. I think his name is
Frank Mir.
It Frank Mir? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's recently retired. I think Tarver's been out of the game a lot longer than that, but seems like an interesting matchup.
Tarver, for him, I know for sure that he really stays active in the gym. He's always either training someone or actively doing something himself. So he stays in good shape. He's not somebody that was couch loafing, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to be boxing, so it's still going to be in his favor, really.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, the point is that you got, some ex-champions. People are familiar with their names. They might have tuned out to boxing, in this newer generation. So this is a way to get those fans back seeing, like, okay, this kid here is good. I like him. I'm going to check him out in this next fight. And then the next time they hear his name, T.O. is on another card entirely, they might, tune in because they saw him previously. They're going to know him. And he has great charisma. So that was, to me, a good choice. When it comes to Al Heyman, like I said, they have Fox they go through. They are still prime time as well. The fights that seem to make Fox don't seem to be as competitive most times. Then you got Showtime over there that's doing something with them. At least I don't need a damn app. Me personally, I appreciate Al Heyman and PBC in the sport because African American boxers and minority boxers that have issues with Bob Arum specifically, they have somewhere else that they can go to and know that they're going to get protected as far as their person things are concerned. But I do wish that they can step up the game with the competition in this next year or within this next year. I really don't see a problem with Triller making that money. If they want to spend their money in that way, let them. I mean,
so
I'm just not a fan of the pay-per-view. That's all.
Well, that's my point. You got to give Triller. This is a major step up for them, and you got to give them credit. Number one, because they made a lot of money last year on the sport, and they were willing to give back and spread it around. Okay, so that's a great bit of deal. And they didn't just come with no offer above anybody. They came high. They came high for a reason. That's one thing. Two, this now gives Teofimo the opportunity to fight on pay-per-view. This gives him the opportunity to fight on a bigger card. This gives him the opportunity of building on his legacy and building his way up to those big fights. So you really got to give credit for Triller for doing this. And now I think they could be a force in the game because they hold two cards. They hold exhibitions, and now they're holding purse bids. This is a huge, huge, monumental thing.
Obviously, it's a play, right? It's not just the fact that they're doing it, but it's a play to, and it sends a message like, hey, we're in the game now. You're going to have to watch out for us, too. Because we're now a promotional company, and we're willing to come after some of these boxers. They're not safe. They were able to benefit from that, being that they probably suffered a loss with the summer series and the viewership numbers that didn't come in as planned. So I'm feeling like they were trying to recoup some coins from that. That was a lot of money that they spent, guys, just on coronavirus bubble stuff and testing and keeping people in hotels long and all this stuff that was going on behind the scenes. So I'm sure that it came at a huge cost to be number one or to be the first to do it. So I think they just, kind of like they want to stay under their budget. So I think that's what's going on there. But
so Lucas, here's a question to you, real quick, Lucas. Though, so say Tio does this fight, he's on the say Holyfield Mike Tyson undercard, and then he gets used to he sees this big extravagant event. He put up on a pedestal, and he likes it. He already is talking about jumping ship, which you say Top Rank does have to let him out of his contract because he has a 3-year deal actually with Top Rank. But what does this put Tio at if he does see this type of show and gets greedy and wants this for life?
Well, it could be bad depending on if he can't actually get out of that contract or not, because we're going to have another situation like Mikey Garcia where you're wasting out a lot of your prime trying to set out, because he's not going to want to do what Top Rank wants him to do. And maybe that means fighting guys like Lomachenko again and stuff he wants to avoid. He wants to be able to get paid, and I'm only going by a hypothetical, of course, what you're talking about. To be held on that kind of pedestal and fight with those kind of fighters, I mean, they can't keep fronting that kind of money, so yeah, eventually he might end up sitting out some fights.
But in the event of, or in the case of Mikey Garcia, they were, as a champion, he was being offered less than the challenger, and he said no. In so many words, that was the story, and that's what really set off this relationship with Top Rank. How can you offer a champion less? How is that? And that's Top Rank.
I mean,
that's exactly what Top Rank did, and that's as backward.
I hate it.
Makes sense.
I hate it, but we know that a lot of times the challenger's going to be worth more money. I mean, there's some guys out there that have belts that aren't. I mean, Ugas just got awarded a title. And I love Ugas, but let's face it, he doesn't really have that big of a fan base now either. So, Ugas goes against another fighter, he's going to have to take the B side, unfortunately.
Ugas got a fan base. They're just in Miami.
Yes, for sure. But my thing about the whole situation is, like, it's just the history of it with Arum. That's what makes it, like, different. Like, if you just had to do that to your fighter and you don't have a reputation for that kind of thing, it's fine for maybe one fight or something like that. But this is something that we keep hearing about with him through decades. So, I mean, you're offering somebody that kind of money, but hey, Mikey, he got the last laugh, didn't he? Because he gets paid per fight. He's independent. He doesn't have to go through anybody, and he can say whatever mostly purse he really want to say. I mean, he's fluctuating from PBC to Zone to Top Rank, whoever want to pay him them coins.
I don't know.
Nice, he gets to do that.
I kind of disagree. To me, Mikey Garcia's kind of fell off the face of the earth. I think his popularity has gone way, way down since leaving Top Rank.
Yeah, well, that's only because of the loss.
I mean, the loss obviously doesn't help.
Right. And we haven't seen him since.
Then he fought Jesse Vargas. Nobody really cared. I mean, he's kind of been lackluster since.
That was a DAZN thing, and that worked out okay, I think. But his fight frequency is just shot. He needs to show up 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And at the right weight, if he's at 147 or 140. The guy's on it.
Right, exactly. That's more about him, which is so silly for us boxing fans, because this guy felt like he could go up in weight and want to challenge the best, one of the best in that division of welterweights, and he loses. We now are like not as interested in him. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. This is why we have a Canelo fight on Yildrium, because he's like, well, shoot, if I fight somebody that's way higher and I lose, they're going to lose interest with me too.
So just going back before we switch topics in real quick. I mean, I agree with Lucas. There is something wrong with Top Rank. I mean, they just lost Gilberto Ramirez. He just signed with Golden Boy. So hopefully we will see him in bigger fights. And not just that, but I think it's a farce and a robbery that your own promoter got outbidded lost the purse bid, but you still have to pay him 20%.
Buddy.
That's all I'm gonna say.
If you don't have the money, you can't do anything.
Yep.
You gotta have the money. I mean,
Yeah,
I could have a fighter and get outbid easily because I'm broke as shit. Like that's how it goes, you know.
Well, to me, it looks like on Top Rank's behalf, looks like a real half-ass way of making money is to get outbid, still collect 20%. Not very cool.
Exactly.
I mean, I
But
agree with you. It's not.
You were mentioning Zurdo Ramirez. There's some talk out there that he might face Dimitri Bivol. So hopefully that fight gets made because I think that's a good step for both of them in their careers.
Well, yeah,
that's a really good matchup there.
Yeah, he's got a new promoter and he's moving on up to 175 pounds. You're right.
I mean, hey,
so
he's a good fighter. And I want to see that type of level of competition. So that's a great way to start out at a new promotional company.
So Lucas, let's get Shakira's tweet of the week going here.
For sure.
Oh, I thought this was delicious. I mean, when I got sent this morning from Rob, I was like laughing, so I had to make that the tweet of the week. Devin Haney says, "Where the F is Loma at?" And then Loma says, "I'm here. I'm waiting for you cowards to decide on a real fight and not a Twitter fight." I mean, they went on to say a couple of more things. Like they really had it like a long conversation on this. I mean, the whole thing, you know, Loma is just like, he hasn't tweeted in a year. Apparently, I didn't know that. I didn't notice, but apparently this is the first tweet that he's had in some time. But somebody must have made him aware, or he must have been like lurking, like, you know how you lurk and you just look, but you never say anything, but you seeing everybody else's comments and shit. So he finally decided to respond. So Devin Haney says, "Well, tell me who made the decision." And he's like, "You know perfectly well that it was not my decision, but you shouldn't complain about it because after that they sent you a belt by mail." So that was basically that's a dig at the email that got him the WBC title back. So, I mean, I thought it was a nice little play on words and, you know, that they were like going at each other. Can they make a fight? Would it be at 135? Would Loma want to go back down to 130 as he said previously that he really would like to do? I mean, but I still think that this would be a great fight for Devin Haney because it's also a comparison fight on how he did versus how Tio did. But it also is a good fight because it's just two top level fighters and we're getting the best out of both of them. And, you know, Devin Haney is supposed to be very skilled along we know Lomachenko is. So, you know, that would just be something like totally exciting. So do you guys feel that you would mind seeing a Loma versus Haney?
Definitely not. Hopefully, you know, they can break down the roadblocks that's there. The obvious ones being different stations and different promoters as well. But if they can break those, I'm game. That's something I would definitely love to see.
I'd love to see that fight. I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup. It's a great test for Devin Haney. Great bounce back fight for Lomachenko to get him back into the mix.
Absolutely. Let's see what weight it would be at, though, guys. It would be interesting to see what weight.
That's true. I really think Lomachenko can go back down to 130.
I think he would be better at 130. I really do. And if I'm a competitor, I want to fight Lomo at his best.
What about?
We just got a comment from somebody named Edgay Glass Chin Bumlanga saying, "I'm a hype job," with the thumbs up. Very random, but you know, I think they're making fun of Edgar Berlanga, but
oh boy,
that's no hype job.
Yeah, that ain't.
I mean, I don't want to see him in the ring.
So now let's pivot to the last topic of the night. Shakira, you take first dibs on this one, but this is your girl Clarissa Shields with her upcoming pay-per-view event, All Women Showcase. Give us enlighten us here and tell us all why we want to see this event.
Sell us on this.
Right. So, I mean, it is going to be a heavy hitting all female card. Never before on this level. It's going to be Fight TV as well, you know. So I suspect and I expect all of you guys to support this card. You know, the thing of it is it's not just Clarissa Shields. She's the main event, and that's like good enough for me. But you also got a new debut for Danielle Perkins, who's the heavyweight that was signed with Mark Taffet. And we're going to also see some other fights, too. We got, I'm missing my, it says pending approval. That's why. You got Tamar Karafov, and you got Logan Holler. You know, you got to have a really good looking, you know, female or two on the card, guys. Just for you guys that, you know, want to see that eye candy if you watch a female fight. So you got all of that included on this card. And then they added some new names too that's not on the box rec yet. But I'm excited just because this is an all-female card. They're actually getting their own platform for the event. Everybody can log on to Fight TV. It's not a big pay-per-view, like, you know, regular pay-per-view amount. So it's something that people can support, and hopefully we will get to see more of these type of cards. But you know what I want to see? I want to see the ladies who want to, like Clarissa, who want to go do 3-minute rounds, be able to do 3-minute rounds. These are still 2-minute rounds, but it'll give you a glimpse at what we could expect to see if they are allowed to finally do 3-minute rounds like men. So right now, you know, it's not that, but it's close to it because you know, it's all women. So Lucas, I know you like a good eye candy lady. I know you like to see eye candy. Rob, you too. James, you too. So I need for all of you guys that love boxing to love women boxing too, because
I'm there. I'm there, 100%.
So just so you know, fans, it's on Fife. F-I-F-E is the name of the service that'll have it for pay-per-view. It is $29.99 at the rate right now. It is Friday night. Friday night.
This app can be downloaded on like Roku's and Fire Sticks, whatever.
And all that as well. It will be Friday night live in Flint, Michigan. And for $29.99, from what I'm seeing on this card, you're going to get your money's worth. According to Clarissa Shields, she's worth the price of admission anyway. So definitely check it out.
Knockout. That's the question everybody wants to know. Can she make a knockout with 2-minute rounds? This is a big thing that all the female boxers want changed about the sport. They want the 3-minute rounds so they have more time to break down their competition and have more KOs.
Yeah, I think the women's division needs that extra minute. I think it would benefit from it severely. So I hope they get it. But I don't know. I'm not holding my tongue. You know, boxing's full of a lot of yeah, but more than anything, we're very superstitious. We like things a certain way, and we like people in their places, A side, B side. Women start going up to 3 minutes. Oh, that's not what it's supposed to be. It's a whole thing, you know. Boxing's old-fashioned in its ways, but I really hope so. And I think she does need a win, especially on pay-per-view. She needs a dominant knockout win. She really does. I think it would be best, especially for women boxing right now. I mean, she is the queen of it currently.
Yeah, and her competition is Mary Eve. How you say her last name? Declare.
Declare, I think.
Oh, I didn't see his
no
L.
L. There ain't no L.
Declare. So I feel she's some eye candy. So let's see.
I think a lot of people don't know her. Obviously, you're going to know Shields. So I think a lot of people, even though she's undefeated, really aren't giving her much of a chance against Shields.
And that's the problem with also that we're facing with female boxing is just you only know one player in a matchup because there's so much lack of support and exposure and platforms for all the ladies. So she could be facing somebody that's really competitive, and we wouldn't even know how competitive it's gonna be because we just have that lack of exposure. Like there was a great fight that I kept telling you guys that I wanted you to watch, but when I went on YouTube to try to find it, I never could find that fight, even like on YouTube as a past fight. So there are things like that we have to work on with sport.
Also running along narrowly, just a side topic here. I see Heather Heat Hardy. I was actually tweeting at Bare Knuckle Fight Championship Management. They were telling her to listen to her fans and to join the fastest growing combat sport in the world. They want her to fight BKFC. And she said, make me an offer. I'd be listening. So maybe seeing a transition in there as well. But guys, I mean, it's a little weird to say because I am boxing first, but I am kind of interested to see Shields and MMA. Do we have a date yet? You're the Shields. You're the Shields expert. So I was wondering if you knew yet.
No, but Tim, our heavy bag, colleague, he was saying that he actually saw her working out and training with was it Amanda Nunes or it was someone that she was training with.
Well, Amanda has a fight coming up this weekend as well. I believe she was helping her get prepared for her fight this weekend.
So Tim was saying that he was really impressed with how much that she's actually learned because he's a huge MMA fan. So he was actually like very like supportive and was like, wow, she might be able to do something over there.
I would love to see
yeah. Go ahead.
I'd love to see Clarissa. Yeah, it's all right. I'd love to see Clarissa in the octagon. She's got a killer striking game, and she's rough and tough, and she got a big advantage there. And I'm sure you all have seen this in the general scheme of the MMA trade, that some of these guys are extremely good martial artists, jiu-jitsu and taekwondo and whatever it is. That's all fine. But the striking game sometimes is really, really bad, really poor. And but I mean, she's got such a great advantage. And no disrespect to these guys, I know that they're killers. I know that they're excellent jiu-jitsu practitioners and so forth. But that striking game sometimes, you see them throwing overhand rights from left field. I'm like, it's not done that way, man.
Holly Holmes got what's the girl name out of there?
Yeah,
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey. That's how that happened. It was all about the boxing experience that Holly Holmes had. Oh, and that's another cool thing that we got Holly Holmes going to be one of the commentators of the show this Friday.
Yeah,
so,
what I'm really hoping happens.
That's good.
Because let's face it, as far as women combat sports, I mean, MMA's stronger, a lot stronger, right? So best case scenario, Clarissa Shields actually goes over to MMA, steals a lot of the fans and brings them back. So maybe it can snowball a little bit and actually improve women boxing. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of women MMA fans. There's not a lot of women boxing fans. I mean, it has kind of been depleted. So I think it needs that. I mean, she could actually do a lot for the sport by leaving it, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the limelight over there at the UFC will probably keep her, so to speak. I can just see her rattling off maybe 6, 7, 8 wins in a row, 8-0 record over there at the UFC, and she gets Amanda Nunes for probably the biggest fight in UFC history.
Whoa.
That's
probably you're going from somebody that's not fought an MMA fight to that. Let's slow it down just a little bit. This is still a very different sport. Combat sports, yes,
to the Lions right away.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lion.
I mean, yeah, as you said, I mean, like we talked about with McGregor. I mean, it's clear there's different even stamina. He was not ready for no 12-round fight with actual punching nonstop. He's not used to it. I mean, these are completely different sports.
That's a good point, Rob, though, because if I don't know the sport that well, but if Amanda Nunes campaigns at 154 like Shields does, or even in that neighborhood, that could be an awesome match.
Hey,
and it would make
they
her
could
their
cross
money.
over. They could do it where, it would be like a MMA fight first and then come back through and then try to make a boxing fight between the two of them, because Amanda has a great striking, she's a great striker too.
Well, she's getting help. That's why Clarissa was in that camp. She wants to make her presence known in the MMA world, that she's as big of a striker as Conor McGregor for the women. She wants to be Conor McGregor-esque in the UFC for the women. And that's what I think is going to happen. But this was a great show, y'all.
Yeah.
It's getting late. We got to go ahead and end it. Sorry, fans. This is the Heavy Bag Boxing team. We look forward to seeing y'all next week, next Tuesday. Again, I'm your host, Robert Alexander, for Lucas Biggers, James, Shakura, and Javi. Stop being late and logging off early. Lucas, tell them where you can find us.
HeavyBagBoxing.com.